Hi, I'm Wendy Gratz from Shiny Happy World, and this cute lemur is the current pattern in the Funny Faces Quilt Block of the Month Club. When I say current, it is April 1st, 2023, and this is the pattern that goes with the club this month. So if you're in the club already, you should have already gotten an email that has a link to download the pattern, or you can find it in the clubhouse. If you are not in the club yet and you join anytime in the month of April, this is the pattern that you're going to get instant access to. If you're watching this video in the future and it is past April and you want to know how to get the pattern, you can find it in the shop at shinyhappyworld.com, and it'll be there in the shop sometime the end of May. So here's how to make it. Okay, I've got everything set up to assemble this lemur block. This is the video showing how to do it with a light box. So just very quickly, I've got my light box on. I've got it turned up as bright as it goes, and I've got it layered light box, placement guide, and then a silicone mat. All of my pieces are cut out, and you can ignore, if you have a light box, you can ignore all the markings on the back except for the smile. So I just laid that down on the light box and traced that smile line with a fine point Sharpie. That's a stitching guide rather than a placement guide, so I'm going to need that at the sewing machine to be drawn on there with a marker. All right, the numbers tell you what piece is what, and they also tell you in what order we're going to lay them down. So this is a fairly complicated one. This is 22 pieces. It's actually not difficult to assemble. There's just a lot of pieces. We are going to start with piece number 1, which is one of his ears. And you just lay it where it goes. Then we're going to do number 2. And that goes on this side. And then we have some inner ear pieces, like the shading inside his ears. Some lemurs don't have a darker shading inside their ear, so you could leave this piece off if you wanted, but I liked the definition that it gave, and it seemed to me that more lemurs than not had darker fur inside their ears. So this is 3 and 4. And now 5 is his body piece, the shoulders. All right, 6 is going to be his lighter colored belly. There we go. 7 is his face. Okay, now let's get some eyes on there. 8 is the eye on this side. And if you have trouble seeing these numbers through, especially as we get more layers stacked on, just push it down so that it's actually touching. When you have physical contact between all the layers, those numbers show through much better. And then try not to move your pieces after you get them laid down. So 9 are the yellow eyes. Usually I just give my animals black eyes, but it seemed to me that the yellow eyes of the lemur were one of the really distinctive features of them, and so I wanted to include that. That's why normally my animals have just 1 piece for each eye, and these guys have 3 pieces for each eye, which is one of the reasons that this one has so many pieces. So like I said, it's a lot of pieces, but they're not very tricky to lay down. So this is piece number 12. We are more than halfway there. And 13 is the pupil on this eye. Okay, I can peel that up. Usually I don't have such trouble getting it to release. There it goes. Now we've got 14 is his forehead. He's got like a little widow's peak kind of thing on his forehead. And 15 is his muzzle. And 16 is his nose. And then we are done with the body of him, but lemurs have a very distinctive tail, at least ring-tailed lemurs do. And so I don't usually include tails for my animals, but I definitely wanted to include a tail for this guy. So this will be fused as a separate piece. And then I'll align them when I get that on the block. One thing I do want to point out, so I'm using a striped fabric for the stripes on his tail, and I wanted all the stripes to be going across the tail no matter which way I turned it. And so I drew a little line on the back of it to show me which direction I wanted my stripes to run, just a quick little shortcut on each of my pieces so that I could use that when I laid them out on my fabric. Just a little cheater thing. I use that a lot if I'm going to use striped pieces. Sometimes it's easy with the eyes. I didn't have to mark it to get that. I did want the stripes on the eyes to both times be going in the same direction. But the tail, since it bent around the shape of the tail, I really wanted to mark those so that I could get that the way I wanted it. It doesn't matter if you get it. It's just a fussy thing that I worry about. And the last thing is the tip of his tail. All right, so all the pieces are in place. I'm going to very carefully lift this up, just by the silicone mat, carry it over to my ironing board, fuse all the pieces in place right on the mat, and then I will let them cool and peel them up and then fuse them onto the quilted block. Then I'll do all the outline stitching and bring it back here and show you the finished block, and also 2 other color versions that I made with different fabrics. All right, here is the finished block. You will notice that the eye fabric is different when I was assembling the pieces, layering them together. When I first cut them out, I forgot that these were dark spots around his eyes, and I just saw 3 eye pieces and immediately thought whites of the eyes and didn't even reference my design sketch. So I swapped those out. So in the assembly video, you'll see that those were whites of his eyes, but this is actually correct. Lemurs have dark spots around their eyes. I didn't realize until after I had done all of the outline stitching, so you'll be happy to know that you actually can pick that out. It's difficult and not fun, but you can pick out all of the stitching and then just hit it with an iron for 5 seconds, and that will soften up the adhesive enough that you can just peel those pieces off and then cut out new ones, which is what I did for all 3 of the blocks that you're about to see here. So this is the one that we put together without a light box. And this is the one that we put together with a light box, and that is a separate video. That is its own video. And then I've got one more that I forgot to tell you. People always want to know the fabrics. So the background fabric is from the Farmer's Market Lights collection, and it is a collection of quilt blocks all in the same color palette, and they have these quilting lines actually printed on the fabric. All of the fabrics, all of the gray and white fabrics for the lemur are from the Elephant Blenders collection, which is all different shades of gray, and the kind of golden eyes are from the Lion Blenders collection. Both of those are from the Animal Kingdom palette. So this guy also uses grays and gold from the Animal Kingdom palette. So again, Elephant Blenders and Lion Blenders. But this one, the background block, is from the Classic Rainbow collection. It's just a very bright, true green. This is the Classic Rainbow Light. So it's the lightest shade that I have. And it's the same, it's got the quilting lines printed on it, just like the pink one that you saw. And then I've got one more color that I did. So this is the Fantasy Colored Lemur. So the background block on this one is from the Animal Kingdom collection. So it is a collection of background blocks, just like the other ones with the quilting lines drawn on it. But it is all different shades of brown, gray, and kind of a rusty orange and that golden yellow that you saw here. So it's from that. It matches all of these blenders. So the background is the lightest brown from that collection. And then all of the blenders here for the Lemur are from the Blueberry Blenders collection, which is part of the Farmer's Market color palette. And the oranges are also from the Farmer's Market color palette. They are from the Cantaloupe Blenders. So that is how you put this Lemur together, and a couple of different color options for him. I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and I will see you next month.